Hope all is well with you guys. Just decided to do a quick live here and just want to address something here. Just want to address something here. Um, Real quick, want to talk about the topic is the ADL, the Anti Defamation League. I'm going to do a thorough presentation on them, but I just thought I'd, uh, you know, take the moment, take a minute out to have this discussion with you guys about the ADL. Is the ADL and should the ADL be considered a hate group? Should they be considered a hate group? All right. Should the ADL be considered a hate group? Right. Before I go into my commentary, brief commentary, I'm going to ask that question again for those who are joining in. Should the ADL be considered a hate group? And if you believe that they should be considered a hate group, just type yes. And if you believe that they shouldn't, type no. All right. So, but again, should the ADL be considered a hate group? All right. Should the ADL be considered a hate group? All right. The other thing that I want to assess as well, the Rolling Stones. Should the Rolling Stones be considered a hate group? Because, when you start understanding the ADL and you start understanding the anti Semitism and all of that, and we start going into the criteria and all that other stuff and the things that they have done, we have to start asking these type of questions, right? Should the ADL be considered a hate group, right? And I have to be real with you guys. Those that may follow Candace Owens, I really haven't been one to follow her because of her messages. Sometimes can be way out there when it comes to our community. Likewise with Kyrie Irving, some of the things that he's not Kyrie Irving, but Kanye West. But that old saying is true. Broke clock is correct twice a day. And Candace Owens, I have to give it to her. She went in on the ADL, right? I've taught on the ADL years ago, but she went in. I did not expect her to go in on the ADL, and she went there. And for those that are hating on her, she did something what Shaquille O'Neal didn't do, Shannon Sharp, all those guys did after the fact. Once they start seeing and the outrage from many within our community, then they decided to change their tune. Well, Skip, Skip. Well, I believe Kyrie. Me. I'm a Sarge Kyrie, or I'm a Kyrie Irving. I don't bite my tongue with Kyrie because, but Skip, Kyrie. I feel like the Brooklyn Nets just went overboard. They just went overboard, Skip. They just went overboard. I can't, the 6-step plan. They just went overboard, Skip. He said that Shannon Sharp did that afterwards, after the fact, after the outrage, after he got called out. Shaquille O'Neal, yeah, Chuck, it's all about the game, Chuck. And instead of us talking about the game, we talking about this idiot. Charles Barkley, straight terrible, straight terrible. How come we're not talking about the game? How come we're not talking about the game? We're talking about this idiot. We giving him $40 million. We're giving him $40 million. Of our money. Wow, this idiot, he just straight terrible. He just straight terrible. And I can imagine if Malcolm X can hear Charles Barkley right now, he will be rolling in his grave right now. Because Charles Barkley fell right in line with Malcolm X's expression of the house Negro and the field Negro. Yeah, boss. We's boss. Well, yes, boss. We sick, boss. When the master feels sick, according to Malcolm X, the house Negro would say, we sick. When the slave master's house is on fire, boss, we's house is on fire. Right? So, that's what Charles Barkley did there. Right? That's what Charles Barkley did. He said we gave him $40 million. But anyway, we have to give props to Candace Owens because she stood her ground. I know some of you guys probably laughing at some of my impersonations. Been pretty good with impersonations, That's a whole nother side, not getting into all of that. But you know, the ADL, you have to really deal with the ADL because I saw that the ADL did a very ugly, nasty, deceptive post on their website about Ron Dalton. Same thing that Southern Poverty does when, deal with our community, this awakening, starting with the Black Hebrew, not Black Hebrew, but the Black identity extremists. We got to, a lot of stuff out there. A lot of junk is out there. See, family, the Anti-Defamation League, you guys better start doing your homework. Don't just start listening to what these people have to say. The Anti-Defamation League, right? They came to fame off the lynching of a guy by the name of, I can't think of his name now. I had his name off the top of my head. But there was a Jewish guy, Frank. Is it Lawrence Frank or Frank? I can't think of that. I know his name is Frank something, right? This Jewish guy, right, was convicted because this guy by the name of Frank, I can't remember his full name, Frank, Jewish guy, back in like 1914, he raped and murdered a 14-year-old girl, right? And charges was, of course, brought against him. And that's how the ADL rose to fame. The prosecutor at that time was a very respectable prosecutor. And what's interesting, the jury was like 21 people on the jury, in which 5 to 6 of them were from the Jewish community as we know them. At that time, there was none of this stuff that's being painted about, the anti-Semitic craziness that they tend to push. Leo Frank, that's his, appreciate it, go Black, appreciate it. And Leo Frank, again, he down in Atlanta, the whole situation took place down in Atlanta. And so what makes this interesting is jury of 21 people, 5 or 6 of them were Jewish, all white, right? In that case, because I researched the case, right? In that case, and unfortunately, a lot of the files mysteriously disappeared. Go figure. But in that case, right, when you look at the court proceedings, some of the information you are able to obtain, he did not speak, the defense did not say anything against the witnesses, right? It was other young girls talked about how he had this thing with watching them and all kinds of other stuff, right? But pedophilia, right? But anyway, so the defense did not address any of that, right? But in a nutshell, the ADL tried to railroad the prosecutor by coming up with all kinds of anti-Semitic stuff, accusing him, saying, and really degraded the security guard, right? Because the security guard gave his testimony on what happened and what he witnessed in terms of what Frank Leo was trying to get him to, basically in a nutshell, get rid of the body and try to put all the blame on him. Try to put all the blame on him. Now, mind you, back in 1913, 1914, this is where you start getting, you at the height of what is called the lynching period. You at the height of it. You have, before you even get to Black Wall Street, you had, starting in like 1917, you start having all what they call the race riots, which is also referred to as Red Summer. Really, it's Blood Summer, whereas though over 6 or 3 dozens of our communities were being attacked. And family, give some love to Go Black to Africa. He's doing great work. I really appreciate that brother, man. I really love and have a really admired the work that he's doing. And so this is in Atlanta, Georgia. If you look up the history of of lynchings, Atlanta, Georgia, Georgia itself is at the top of the list. At the top of the list. So the ADL used the situation and tried to bring out this anti-Semitism, right? Tried to literally slander the prosecutor. Make a long story short, he was found guilty, right? And what makes it interesting is the defense tried to put the blame on the security guard, the brother man. Now, during that period, all it takes for even, when you start looking at lynchings, all it took was just an allegation. Oh, allegedly, this black man, allegedly, this black boy looked at this black woman a certain way. I mean, this white woman a certain way. So we're going to not only take care of that person, but we're going to completely shut down the entire community. Right? Remember, when you understand what happened in Tulsa is because a white woman said that a brother man touched her on the elevator. So instead of, and this is allegedly, instead of taking going and charging the brother man, they use that as an excuse to tear down an entire community. An entire community. Right? So when you start unpacking all the history of that and you start understanding what was taking place at that time, right? If a brother man, and this tells you a lot, the jury, he was a key witness. The jury found him guilty 2 years later, 2 or 3 years later, because the whites down there wasn't playing it. They weren't having it. They went into the jails and they lynched them. Right? So my point that I'm making is that's how the ADL, that's how they skyrocket. That's how they basically rose to fame, so to speak. Right? And so it was based off of that case of someone from their community, white, even though, yes, we're not going to get into all the Jewish stuff, but he was white. He was white. There was no recorded situations going on down in Georgia about the Jewish people per se versus the white locals. See, family, what many of you guys don't know, that it was Jews that was on part of that Confederacy. It was a lot of Jews that was connected to the Confederacy. It was some of the Jews that was actually in the Confederacy in terms of that army. Right? This is fact when you start going into history. This is the history that they don't want you to talk about. This is the history if you bring this up, you anti-Semitic, right? The ADL, are they considered a hate group? They should be, especially towards our community. Look it up. Do your history, family. Change the way you approach history. Because if we know that the Democrats, right, what we see today was not what was back then. The Democrats back at that time, right, they was fighting to keep slavery. They was fighting against the North because they wanted to keep us enslaved. We were their money, right? So guess what? Plantations, you had Jews owning plantations. You had the auctions being sponsored by who? You'll see Cohen at the bottom of a lot of these, advertise these ads, these auction ads. And one of there was a groundbreaking, a record-breaking auction that they auctioned probably like 300 or 400 of our ancestors. Look at the name of the advertiser. You'll see their names on it. You see Cohen. That's one of the popular ones. You'll see Cohen. You'll see Samuel. You'll see Peters. When we think about it, we've been conditioned to, when we think of Jewish names, we don't think of Samuel being, not Samuel, but Cohen being a Jewish name. No, that's still Ashkenazis, many of those guys that enslaved our people. So when you start understanding the history of the ADL, the ADL, another key thing that most of you guys don't understand about the ADL is ADL had a major, they had their offices raided in San Francisco, and I believe an office raided up in Baltimore, because guess what? They had tons of files on every organization in this country. Let me say that again. They had files, inside scoop on every organization in this country, whether good or bad. How did that happen? How were they able to infiltrate an organization and pull out all this key information? How is it possible? Oh, how were they able to infiltrate these organizations? This is the ADL. How was the ADL? How were they able to get all this information? Look it up, family. Look it up. Look it up. But I believe they cried wolf one too many times. I believe that the sky, they did this whole sky is falling one too many times. Think about what happened with the Buffalo situation. Here it is, I'm watching the Buffalo situation, the shooting, and I'm watching the news, and they have a Jewish guy on it, and the dialogue goes from the situation about Buffalo to the situation of his people. Wait a minute, what do you have to do with this right here? Our history, even our how can I put it, atrocities, has always been selectively hijacked. Selectively hijacked. And family, we have to stop allowing this to happen too. I'm sorry, we have to stop allowing people to just come in and hijack our narrative. But again, family, I was watching the Buffalo thing, and it turned from being about the hate crimes against our people to being anti-Semitism towards the Jewish people as we know them. So is the ADL a hate group? Absolutely, family. Absolutely. According to our community. Now, of course, other communities, they're not going to consider them a hate group. They're not going to consider them a hate group. Again, we're going to do a detailed, in-depth discussion about Leo Frank, right? And I'm going to show you again how the ADL rose to power. When was the last time have you seen the ADL since they said, oh, because I saw a rabbi on ESPN, oh, yes, we have black Jews, we have these Jews, we have when the last time have you seen the ADL bring up anti-Semitic charges defending someone of color? You won't see it. Who is normally at the face of the ADL? They'll use on their website about, Martin Luther King and civil rights, they'll use selectively some of our information. But how many times have you seen them, the ADL? Come on, family, we got to keep it real. We got to be real about this thing. That's why I say it's bigger, man. I was reading an article, the New York Post of, I can't remember his name, it's in my community channel. This Jewish guy calling out Kyrie Irving and Hebrews to Negroes Ron Dalton, and claiming, and he gave the real reason why the issue. See, family, if you just pay attention, they'll tell you what the real reason is. We know what it is. It wasn't like Kanye West. It wasn't about him saying, DEFCON versus DEFCON. It's the fact that he said that we are the people of the book. And in that article that's in my community center, I highlighted to show that that's the true argument, because that person pointed out, that Jewish guy that is a Israeli Jew pointed it out. So what's interesting is he's Israeli. Family, it's all kinds of breadcrumbs around us They telling us to our face that they're not the people of the book, because start with the word Israeli. Most of them, I would say easily 90% of them, refer to themselves as being Israeli. Israeli simply means you are born in that area. That simply means that you are born in the territory. You're a citizen, but you're not Aboriginal. Let me say that again. The label Israeli is simply in place stating that you are a citizen, or you were born in the territory, the landmass, but you are not Aboriginal to the area. So that's why you hear the term Israeli, right? Almost similar to saying Israelish, Israel-ish, right? Jewish, right? Having the characteristics of, right? Like, that's where you get like. The conjunction as a means you have the characteristics of, but you're not. So we see in that article, this person, this rabbi or whatever, he's not a rabbi, at least I don't think he is, but calling us out, calling Ron Dalton out, his material out, because he made reference to us being the people of the book. And he referred to it as being anti-Semitism. See, that's the problem, family. If you don't understand what anti-Semitism is, as I highlighted, anti-Semitism is can also, I could be considered anti-Semitic by stating that we are the people of the book, based upon the loosely, the generalized, the generic definition and the examples it gives of anti-Semitism. So you, me, and anyone that says that we are the people of the book can, by definition, according to the law of this land, we anti-Semitic, no matter how much proof we have. So that's a breadcrumb, family. But going back to the ADL, Kyrie Irving don't owe anyone an apology. You don't have to go to them and let them do whatever or say whatever. He don't. No, Kyrie, don't do it. I hope you're not even contemplating that. Did the ADL come to us and say, hey, you know what, let's make sure this rabbi that's over, the chief rabbi over in Israel, who said that, called us monkeys, let's call him over. Let's make that chief rabbi over there apologize. Let's make sure that he sends monies to whatever organization that we have here, whether you want to say the Negro Fund, whatever. Did he say, hey, rabbi, you're going to have to donate $500,000 over to the different interest groups of the blacks around the world, and you know what? Also, we're going to have you're going to have to take some sensitivity training. We want you to meet up with these different organizations within the black community, so that way you can get restored. But before you get restored, you have to go through this plan of restoration. No, you don't hear that. You don't hear that. I played Howard, what's the name? Howard Stern with the late guy, Sherman, what's his name? Sherman Hensley or whatever his name is, from the Jeffersons, mocking our people. Oh my gosh. Mocking Whoopi. Come on, family, blackface. With blackface. The Anti-Defamation League, yes, they are a hate group. You can't call it, for our community. Other communities, they won't see them that way. But far as our community, yes, they are a hate group. Look at what they've done over the history. You can't get around it. For me, I believe, now I'll say it's my opinion, that they are a hate group. And Candace Owens got it right. Who are they? Who are they to tell someone, because they made a post, no commentary, you going to tell them that they anti? Come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. So again, we're going to talk about the Anti-Defamation League. Um, hold the fort, family. Don't waver. But what I'm stating to you is facts. Look it up. Frank. I always mess up his name, but I think it was like Frank Leo. Yeah, Frank Leo or Leo Frank, I believe. Look him up. Look up that situation. Do your research on it, and see how the anti-defamation came into play. One other thing I want to say to these hopping bobs, because hopping bob is all over the place. You guys know I don't use the coon word. I don't use those words. I don't use Uncle Tom. I use, uh, you know, uh, I use hopping bob. We got a lot of hopping bob and hopping bobettes all around. You know, uh, someone, and I'm not gonna mention their names or anything. Uh, a very close friend of my family came to me, called me yesterday because they saw Hebrews to Negroes part two, and I didn't realize that my picture was in there, and so they called me up, and they was excited. It's like, wow, I have to relearn everything. I just saw it. I didn't know all of this information about us. Well, she made a post on Facebook, and there was some hopping bobs that jumped out and posted on her post stating, "Don't watch the movie. It's BS." They supposed to be Christians using acronyms of BS. Told her don't watch it because don't watch that movie. I hope you didn't pay $50 for the movie because it's BS. Wait a minute, and they didn't even watch the movie. Most of the people that you see giving comments and commentaries, they haven't even watched the movie. Come on, family. Many of these people are hopping bobs. You have hopping bobs in the church. Matter of fact, what you see with Shaquille O'Neal and all those guys, it's what if you guys haven't understood or know about, uh, do the study on meritorious manumission. Do this study on meritorious manumission. That that right there allowed promoted so many from within our community to sell our own community out. That was used to literally diffuse any you know uh, possible uh, insurrection, right? Meritorious manumission. Most uh, insurrections were literally conquered because somebody within our community wanted to take care of themselves, make sure that they're taken care of by undermining our people striving to be free. I want to say peace and blessings. Thank you, Shaviva. Thank you for the contributions. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Thank you for the contributions. Thank you for blessing us with this gift here. And family, let's show some love, right? So think about it. We, when we forming organizations, family, you better be careful who you forming it with. The NAACP, that to me, they're the sister organization to the ADL. Technically, that's a Jewish organization. Somebody posted about Al Sharpton. That's right. Al Sharpton, he's a bum. Al Sharpton is a bum, right? So, again, family, going back to the ADL, right? Let's, make sure that we show our support for one another. Go Black to Africa, Ron Dalton, Benea Israel, some of the other people that's really putting the work in, Boom, and Dante Forston, Black History in the Bible. Those are some different channels that are putting the work in. Teo Ministry. A lot of people are putting work in. Apostle Curtis, Shonda. It's a lot that are putting this work in. That's putting a lot of work in, waking up our people. So I just encourage you, family. Let's stay the course. And I just believe with this situation, the ADL, the Jewish community, cried wolf one too many times, right? They did this one too many times. They did this one too many times, right? Now I'll say that again. They did it one too many times, and it's really backfiring because now again, more people than ever are now going to watch the movies, his movies, Ron Dalton movies, and purchase his book just to hear what's going on. And guess what, family? Be prepared. If you haven't watched it or haven't watched it in a while, go back over and watch it so that way you'll be ready to answer whatever questions that come your way. So we'll do it this we'll do it tomorrow night. Matter of fact, we may even do it tonight. We'll do a I did it on my buddy Moxie approved channel. We did a review of the movie, Hebrews to Negro review. He did it more from an angle of him, as far as what he saw, and what I did was I fact checked the movie. I did a fact check on the movie. It was powerful. I think he got almost 80,000 views off of that, and a lot of people are asking questions because of that, and so for all my brothers and sisters that followed Tariq, with the foundational black, far as with us being the foundational blacks here, I just want to say to you guys, this is the key to reparations. If you really want to understand reparations, right, this fight right here is the key to reparations, right? You can't exclude, and I know because of a lot of the stuff that's happened to our community, I know so many don't want to deal with the Bible, right? Because, many are teaching that the Bible is a white man's writing, a white man's religion. Family, we have to do our due diligence and start understanding, why are they fighting so hard about this here? Why are they trying to, why are they in the trenches about here? So all those that follow Tariq Nasheed, and this is, like I said, I listen to him sometimes, I just want to encourage you guys, if you really want to understand reparations, you know, your DNA is going to show that you have come from West Africa, taken from the shores of West Africa. And when you do your DNA, you're going to see key tribes there. Whether you want to believe in the Bible or not, it's still going to show that it's going to point you to the Igbos. It's going to point you to the Limbers. It's going to point you to the Bambaras. It's going to point you to the Moroccan Jews. It's going to point you to the Yoruba. You see that right there. The problem is, if all of us start understanding that, whether you believe in the scriptures or not, guess what? That puts a major dent in reparations. Because how can you ask for reparations? Right? How can the Jewish community, as we know them, get reparations? Why? Because then we will tap into that. Because when the truth comes out to say, hey, we are the people of the book, now there's a lot of things that has to be undone. That means that whatever is being set aside for the Jewish community as we know them, that means that each one of us are entitled to that. Oh, come on, family. I hope y'all grab hold of this. Those that follow Tariq, I love to talk to Tariq and talk to him about this here. This is the part where I'm not saying him, this is the part where, like some of the conscious community, people in the conscious community, this is the argument that they are not understanding. This is the part that many are missing. This is the part that many are missing. So with that being said, family, we may do a live tonight. This is not me just saying it. I promise you, the road to Savannah will be, I will have it out by next weekend. Be on the lookout for it. So again, family, let's boycott Nike. Let's boycott Adidas. Let's boycott the NBA. Let's boycott everything that's any groups that are trying to come against us. Let's boycott these banks, that had our ancestors as slaves and used them for collateral. Let's boycott these universities, because guess what? Hit them hard. Boycott Georgetown. Boycott most of these Division I schools that built their institution off of having slaves. Boycott them all, family. Boycott them all. Don't be selective. It's going to make you feel uncomfortable. It's going to start going into your personal space, but that's what it's supposed to be. If you understand what fasting is to get into your personal space. Guess what? Start boycotting them. Let's take our $2 to $3 trillion of spending and let's take it away. Let's remove it from them. Let's remove it from them. Unregister. Don't register as a Democrat. Don't register as a Republican. Register as non-affiliate. If you can't register as an independent, remove it. Let's remove ourselves from everything that they have used, continue to use, and take advantage of us with. Let's stop financing this delusion. I refuse to do that anymore. You stop financing the delusion. We as a people, let's stop financing the delusion or the deception, and let's start holding these people accountable. Let's start holding the ADL accountable, the hate group against our community accountable. Don't give me all this stuff. Well, the ADL did this, the ADL did that. No, the ADL only protects its interests. And guess what? We see it. Their interest is made clear with Kyrie Irving. They made it clear with Kyrie Irving. They made it clear with Kanye West. They made it clear with everyone that, including Ron Dalton. If they really had an interest to talking, take them up on his offer. Take me up on the offer. I love to talk to one of you guys. We do it on a public forum, and you present whatever arguments you say. Show me. Show me. And I'll show you. And we do it in front of the people. So if there's anyone from that community right now, you watching and you want to have a discussion, you don't have to be ugly, nasty. Come on. I'll be live. Send me an email. I'll bring you on. And we'll have a decent discussion. And I can assure you that I know for sure everything that I'm going to present is 100% facts. So with that being said, family, let's go. Let me go ahead and get up out of here. Again, let's continue to support Kyrie Irving. Let's continue to support Kanye West. Let's continue to support our people as a whole. Stop bringing up all their shortcomings. Guess what? Let's come together and get past these fights. And guess what? When the dust settles, then we could deal with our differences then. Just like Nehemiah did when he built the wall. They built the wall first and then dealt with their internal differences afterwards. With that being said, family, hit the like button, subscribe. Love you guys. Shalom.